I really want to understand what Main Street is all about, but at the core of it, why did you start it?
For that second question, I was saying I don't have much of an answer. Like you said, you don't know much about shoes and you know a little bit about business. I don't know much about either.
Okay, picking up something which you just said, that people have blind trust on you. Fundamentally, how do you build that blind trust? Especially in a community. So I've seen the range of products anywhere from a 5K, which is okay, to an 8 lakh rupee shoe, right? So
even more. We sold shoes for 12 lakhs and so on. I think it starts with communication.
Calm down before you stress up the groove. The energy a little different when the blessings accrue. Hey, who you talking to? Just know I ain't no regular fool. Could be anything in the world, but I can never be you because I stand tall like I'm on my
the sneaker culture and lifestyle is on a huge rise from the last couple of years. And today we talked to Vedant Lamba, who's standing at the forefront of all of this. His company Main Street is a very, very well-known brand in this small but very, very well-connected ecosystem. Today in this episode of the CNTC show, I personally learned a lot about the sneaker culture. What is the buzz all about? Kya hai? Why should you care, and why they're disrupting the market with their incredible community. I hope you enjoyed this episode. He's a really chill guy. Learned a lot from him, not just about the sneaker culture, but a lot about how do you run a business, how do you do entrepreneurship. बहुत interesting episode hai. Do look out for it. Like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. Enjoy the episode. Hi Vedant, welcome to the CNTC show. How are you doing?
I'm good, dude. You tell me what's up.
All good, man. So good to have you here. Firstly, congratulations on the new store. Really good to hear the progress, the growth.
Thank you, man. It's a very exciting time for us. I'm pumped.
Before I do like a podcast episode, I always sit down, I always research, see what my guest deeply does, what their business is all about. But this time I was just, and I'm going to be completely honest and very transparent here, I was a little like, this is out of my comfort zone. Like, I have no clue about the sneaker culture. While I may have some clue about how businesses are run, this is a completely new space for me. So I think a big disclaimer would be that this podcast is a personal learning session for me, where I'm going to take a lot of gyan from you on what is the hype all about? What is the business all about? So let's start from the basics. I really want to understand what Main Street is all about, but at the core of it, why did you start it?
For that second question, I was saying I don't have much of an answer. Like you said, you don't know much about shoes and you know a little bit about business. I don't know much about either. So I don't think I was the right person to start it. But I came across the world of sneakers as a complete outsider. I wasn't raised on the culture of spending heavy on shoes or any sort of like fashion consumerism per se. I was not really a fashion enthusiast, none of that. I developed into one. I was very fascinated by just the idea of sophistication and style, and then it built into understanding what trends are and just being urban and young, and a lot of that whole subculture is very appealing and it seemed great. Definitely didn't have the spending power to interact, but it seemed extremely interesting to me because I then saw, and this is just my perspective, I saw sneakers playing as financial instruments. I saw the opportunity that a lot of people were harping on to make money off of shoes. More importantly, as soon as I saw that, I also looked down and I was like, wow, there's none of this in India. And that seemed like the biggest gap. At that point, I had maybe started 5 or 10 different businesses. And, I say started a business as if it really built into a business, but I had ideas, 5 or 10, that I chose to put a little bit of time into, so to speak. And the goal was like, there had basically been this little void in my head that had built from the time I was maybe 10 or 11 years. It was a hunt for an opportunity that could be like that had a bunch of boxes in my head that I wanted to fill. That it's scalable, it's new, it's just had a bunch of these things that weren't even properly defined, and I felt like the sneaker thing just filled it entirely. That it was an opportunity to build something new, fast scalable, status deriving, high ASP. And now I look back, I'm like, okay, this is why it seemed so exciting to me. But to give you an idea of what sneaker culture is, what you see around the craze is essentially limited edition shoes that are being treated as collectibles. It's hype around collectibles that might not have come your way, but it's collectibles that are used. So you're interacting with a certain asset class that has underlying use case. So I don't know how familiar you are with the world of Pokemon cards now that it's hype. a lot more people would know about it if it was very common to wear a Pokemon card on your neck. Or it was Pokemon t-shirts instead. Then it would become a status thing for people to just wear it. But because you buy a Pokemon card and you keep it at home, and only people who know about it will know. And you can't derive that external status from it. It hasn't become as mainstream. Similarly, there's a big subculture around radio-controlled cars and radio-controlled planes that only people deep in that subculture will know because it's a very private thing. You don't walk around with that radio-controlled car. On the other hand, a very non-car enthusiast will be driving a GLS Maybach. Even if he doesn't know what engine it has or how many, cylinders it has or whatever. But because he has the money. That is why you are seeing sneaker culture. It is because it has that underlying use case.
What's the tangible value though? For example, so I see that at Main Street, you're reselling a lot of exclusive shoes, exclusive merchandise, exclusive clothing items. But what's the tangible value after, let's say I use it? Because like it's something which people tangibly use and it deteriorates with time. So let's say I purchase like an exclusive shoe from Main Street and a year later, what's the tangible value? Does it grow? Does it remain the same or does it, come down?
So a majority of the trading hype that you see is in brand new product. The usage of these products is very similar to cars that as soon as you're out the showroom, it depreciates in value by around 30%. It can then, if the original item in the car does go up in value, maybe the price that you paid for a brand new item and then you use it and the price went up so much that even a used product ka price has gone up what you paid. That happens very often. Maybe you got it at the retail price or whatever and it's sold out and then you use it, but still worth more. Is there a direct tangible value? No, it's always a negotiation. It's like valuing a company. You can look at a lot of data points, but at the end of the day, it boils down to what your buyer sees in it and what they are willing to pay for it. You can put a market value on it, but in theory, that's all in theory. Until someone is paying you hard cash for it, there's no real tangible value to it. Until, there are trading platforms globally like StockX and a lot and GOAT and all of that, which take pre-authorized bids from buyers. So those are locked purchases on specific items that haven't gone through. So you can look at that and then place tangible value using that data that, okay, this item can be worth this price because so many people are willing to pay this price for it and they have committed. That a seller, if I have this shoe in this size, I can see that someone has offered X price for it. I can go accept that money immediately. That, in some sense, gives these items certain tangible value.
How do you source them? Because I've seen there's a selling button on the website, but what else? How do you get these exclusive items?
So we're a platform. Main Street as a business started with the goal of looking around and saying, oh, there's no sneaker culture, let's build it. Now, how to build it was the next question. How to build it became, that was our why. Why are you doing this? Because we wanted to build sneaker culture. And how you do it, and then it becomes what you do. How you do it, you're thinking, okay, content and commerce. And what do you do is Main Street TV, Main Street Marketplace. So we first started as a YouTube channel. We had no money. We first wanted to start a sneaker store. Then we realized that, shit, you need money to start a sneaker store. And then like, okay, what can we do without money is make YouTube videos. After already having massive failure on YouTube, I was like, let's do another YouTube channel. That's a great idea. And we started a YouTube channel.
Right.
While it didn't blow up from like numbers standpoint, what it did do for us was connect us to the sneaker community in a very short period of time because no one else was doing it. So
Right.
we suddenly just met pretty much the entirety of a very small community. It was very fulfilling. Then we started a store. And store also was a platform business model because we didn't have the money to buy shoes ourselves.
Right.
It was okay, we have a little bit of an audience. We'll tell them to sell their shoes and we'll sell it for them. And we'll take a commission because that's the cheapest business we can run. And we have absolutely no money. Like
Right.
one item here is 30,000-40,000 rupees. It's like too far-fetched. Just good night. We'll just start whatever we can do. And that's how the business basically started. And it shaped from there. And how we source is we buy from the community and we help sellers sell on us. And slowly we'll absorb. The idea was first, okay, this is what we want to do. It was how to do this, became... We had to do a little bit of every profit we made started buying because the community of buyers is so small, they needed some sort of ready offering. So we did start buying little with each profit and curated a collection. And the goal is always build as many buyers as possible. India has a lack of buyers. So our content was also a customer acquisition funnel. It's the top of our customer acquisition funnel. And as we had more and more buyers, then we started becoming less of sellers ourselves and became more platform. Now we facilitate sales for over 500 sellers in the country. In a community of probably 3,000 to 5,000 sellers, we have about 10% sellers selling with us is what I'd say. And that is, something that makes me very happy. And we're only looking to grow that from here. So all of our sourcing happens from sellers.
These sellers are sneakerheads.
All sneakerheads.
All sneakerheads. So it's from one sneakerhead to another. From one collector to another.
From one sneakerhead who's using it as a financial instrument to another who's using it as fashion. Our goal is to get as many shoes to end consumers, which is why you'll see we're usually the most expensive on the market because we're delivering that last mile. We are not facilitating trade between traders who are buying and selling for market value. We are most times selling to end consumer. Most time when we sell a shoe, it goes onto someone's feet.
Okay. So as somebody who probably doesn't know a lot about this community, if I want to get started and if I have, let's say, X amount of money, how would you introduce me to all these, names in the industry? Like if I want to get started with a Yeezy or a Jordan, or what would you recommend that these are some terms that you should know? These are some things that you should know before stepping into, let's say, a Main Street shop.
You gotta go do your research, man. It's like investing in the stock market, you don't want to do this tip oriented. You do tips, you lose a lot of money. You gotta do your own research and prep for your own risk. It takes time, but once your fundamental analysis on this is set, you basically learn to speak a language. So, a few things that everyone knows are dead stock. VNDS is very near dead stock. Basically means pre-owned. There's two things. There's either brand new or pre-owned. If you're buying for yourself, then, at the start, like I'd 10 on 10 advocate buying pre-owned product. I think it's great for the environment. It's excellent. In general, you get a great deal. You save a lot of money. It makes a lot of sense. And then I would recommend buying a pre-owned item. What you want, this taste is very personal. You don't ever want to take someone's recommendation. You have to see what really you like, what you sync with. Follow enough people who are into it, see what you really enjoy, and your taste will evolve. It will always evolve. If you have limited money, I would always advise rotating. So you buy a pre-owned item and then you sell it, and because you're buying pre-owned, selling pre-owned, your depreciation is very negligible. You can almost always have no loss and keep getting something new, and as your taste develops, and then you start collecting one by one brand new items just because I don't know, depending on how much money you make. You make a lot of money, so I'm sure you can just go buy brand new.
What I get is that trust is really critical in a business like this because fakes. I mean, I don't know. So I've seen all these apps that you can use to detect what a fake shoe is. You can probably Google that check these 20 things. But do people even check these things? Or a larger or a macro question is, if you're wearing a shoe, honestly, I wouldn't care, man. I would trust that Vedant owns Main Street. He must be wearing an original shoe.
It's completely fair. Checking is more of a personal prerogative, right? It's not so much weight when someone else is wearing, although that happens a lot. Because it's a big deal, right? You busted, like not me, but if some celebrity is wearing like a fake, a lot of people are, busted this one. And even if it's not, even if they spot some anomaly in the shoe, they'll be like, this guy is fake. It's very easy to hate. There's a lot of hate in this community also. With us, whenever someone's buying, most times within the community, they're always doing their own checks, which is good. It's very healthy. We have passed fakes. We process some of the highest volume of orders in India. We've definitely passed fakes. I think it's been maybe a year since the last time we passed a fake, because that was the time we were really scaling in the lockdown. So there was, slip-ups. It's a very small volume. I'm really glad that we caught on to them. But we're very against it. 90% of our consumers have blind trust in us. And we don't want to take that for granted. In the past, we have made mistakes. We're very open about it. We've admitted it. We've acquired a certain amount of hate for it also. There is, because we also sell product because we're selling the most expensive in the community, because we sell to end consumers and we have, we've got a business operation to run. We have certain value that we place on our services and we're very clear about it. Basis that we've acquired quite a bit of hate from the community because they take this and they put it together with a few small mistakes that we've made and it builds into this story. And, it's quite annoying sometimes and it sucks. But, we have a lot of fulfillment from our loyal customers who still have that, that they have that trust in us and belief in us, and they know why they shop with us.
Okay, picking up something which you just said, that people have blind trust on you. Fundamentally, how do you build that blind trust? Especially in a community. So I've seen the range of products anywhere from a 5K, which is okay, to an 8 lakh rupee shoe, right? So
even more. We sold shoes for 12 lakhs and so on. I think it starts with communication. It starts with a connection. So content builds that connection for us. It lays the groundwork. And then it boils down to how much you do. How much you do without expectation. So, while we have made our mistakes, and it feels so weird to say the people who shop with us, because those people don't even it doesn't feel like a customer anymore. They're we have a tight-knit community of our Main Street, our clients. It's just weird to say clients because they're basically family to us at this point. And they know what we've done to take care of them, to pay back the trust that they've put into us. It's not hard to convince someone to take a chance on you, but for someone to keep that trust is what's everything. So while there's a few people who've had bad experience and we made our mistakes, there's countless people who we've done, we moved heaven and earth for to make them happy, and they know it and they value it, and they also keep it back. And that is what the real fulfillment in this whole situation is, and what keeps us going. Building trust is big parts, involves being vulnerable, involves being open, involves being transparent, involves giving without expectation. So when we go over and above, we're not hey, we're invoicing you for this extra work.
What is this over and above work?
Someone wants something and hey, I'll pay for it next week. Okay, we'll send it to you anyway. Or we'll buy it for you before the seller sells it. We'll ship it to you because you need it right now. Oh, I need this tomorrow, but it's 11 p.m. Oh, I needed to wear it to something important tomorrow. Okay, we'll go open the store right now and come hand deliver it to you. At a stage when we're making 300-400 other sales in that month, if each sale is just taken care of like that oh, I don't know if it'll fit me. Okay, we'll come home and let you try it on. So we make sure that it's still in good condition. For expensive shoes, or even that, hey, I don't know if I can come to Bandra. Okay, we'll send them to you. Don't worry about it. Try it on. You also have to place trust to get it back. You have to give trust to get it back. And that also comes with it doesn't always work out. We've made our mistakes doing the same thing.
Tell me a story where you made a mistake without probably naming the person.
Of course, I'm not going to name anyone, but we bought an 8 lakh shoe with a 10,000 rupee deposit. And then we were strung on for that payment for 3 months. And oh God, and it looked like shit on us because we couldn't pay the seller on time. And oh my Lord, horrid. And it takes me back to this one time I attended this panel discussion with some businesswoman way back. It was an OML event called the Coalition. Wonderful event. There was this panel with someone, and this one founder was talking about, when you're starting a business, you can't have any hang-ups. You got to pull every favor. You got to hang your head down, apologize every stage. You look like shit. And, I tweeted this at some point. It's, a large part of building this business is just being misunderstood. You don't have this intention. It seems like you do very often. And it's sometimes with people you really care about, and you have to let them go because just this business survival is key. It's just a survival situation. So you live and you learn. And yeah, it happens.
What I've seen is when you're asking such a huge amount of money, right? Let's say a 5 lakh rupee shoe. It's a fairly big amount. It's not just the transaction of, hey, I give you the shoe and you give me the money. It's more about creating the experience that comes in between. Let's say, experience this experience that Chanel gave me. So you select the product, they take you to the first floor in London. There's a room which is wrapped in leather. Doesn't matter, extremely unnecessary stuff, but it just makes you feel good.
That's the whole idea of luxury. It's not about practicality.
And when you come back home and you hold that product, probably the quality is similar to the t-shirt that I'm wearing right now, which is probably 1/20th the cost. It's not that the quality is hugely different. It's only marginally different. What I'm trying to understand is I don't see this happening a lot in India. Have you ever thought of it? Or if you have, how does Main Street make sure that experience of buying is extremely luxurious?
We can't afford that room and a first floor and all of that right now. While we would love to, a lot of experience is just in conversation. Like I say, this whole bit of why it feels weird to say our top customers are customers is they're all like buddies now. Like they're best friends with my team. And, they value that relationship because of the conversation that comes with. They talk to someone who they trust. They talk to someone before taking that decision. They have someone whose opinion matters to them. There's someone who they will drunk dial at like 2 a.m. and, bitch about other resellers or some shit like that. And that experience is not only money. Experience is energy. When you enter the store, how are you taken care of? How are you spoken to? What is done for you? How warm are you met? How hospitable? It's hospitality. Very often look to hire from hospitality as opposed to sales or fashion. I've looked to hire from hospitality quite a few times, and I've interviewed quite a few people. When I'm looking at CVs where I see someone's worked in hospitality, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Because I want someone to feel taken care of. And very often I find myself standing in like a nice hotel and looking at someone just doing a horrible job of what they're supposed to do. And in my head, I'm like, bro, do you understand you're in the hospitality industry? I'm feeling anything but like hosted right now. The least of what you're doing is being hospitable. Like, today I was at a coffee shop in the hotel I'm staying at, and I was sitting with a business associate, and we're leaving. And where this guy's paying, and he hands him a 2,000 rupee note, and there was change. This guy was like, I don't have that much change. And this guy was, can you just give me like 500s or whatever, or 5 200s or something like that? He was like, sir, this is all we have. Like, why don't you get it from the front desk? I was like, bruv, the 5-star hotel. You're telling this guy to go to the front desk and get it for himself. Why can't you just give it to him and you go take it? Like, you're supposed to be taking care of these people here. Those stupid things that really tick me off is that, do you understand what your real job is? You're here to take care of people, which is why our sales guys are not really titled sales guys. They're client servicing executives. You're here to service people. You are not here to sell. You're here to service this man first. That means if he comes to you and says, I'm getting a better deal here elsewhere, either you match that or you tell that person that that is a better deal. You don't talk shit about another seller just because. Also, uska nakli nikla to, vagera, vagera. That's the last thing that someone on our team would ever do is talk shit about someone. They would tell you, oh, that's a great deal. Like, go get it. We don't care about this one sale. We care about acquiring their trust long term. We care about the fact that they are not paying us to take care of them, but the organization is paying them to take care of the customers. That your job is to take care of these people. That does involve helping them when they want to buy. And sure, you can make those suggestions, but you better not say something to them that you don't mean or that you don't believe in, because that is a complete violation of what you are here to do and the experience that you are here to build. And that's a core of what separates us, essentially.
Very interesting. And there's something which always, now this is going to come from a partial place of ignorance because I don't know a lot about how offline stores work. So enlighten me here. But I've seen that there's a fine line between a customer that is not so serious and somebody who's just doing window shopping. And how do you take them seriously or not take them seriously? Because there's, you may offend somebody really easily, even somebody who's not a buyer, and that could lead to negative reviews.
It's called profiling. And again, I know probably less about like retail shop setups than you do. For us, it was just a thing that happened. We're not a high volume business. We don't, because it's such a niche industry. 9 out of 10 people who walk into the store know where they're going. That being said, so we're lucky enough to have like our in-stock conversions are like 30%. It's ludicrous, but that's because we're a low volume, high conversion business right now. That being said, there are people who come to check it out, and basic philosophy is you take care of everyone the same way. No question about it. We know as soon as someone walks in almost that, okay, this person does not know about the world of sneakers. And you can tell outside on the street also. It's very easy to tell a sneakerhead from not a sneakerhead. Everyone just speaks a language and you can almost spot. That being said, each person is taken care of the same way. We've had people walk in like while walking their dogs, and just because of the aura, they eventually do get into it and they shop. It's also because Bombay people have so much money, but it's either way. I think it's just a perk of basic philosophy that you set in place with the organization.
Has there been like a story where somebody who's not interested in sneakers at all just came to your shop and ended up becoming like a full blown sneakerhead?
We've seen a lot of people go from not sneakerhead to full sneakerhead. And it's reached a stage where you can almost predict, right? So if I'm talking to some business person and if their curiosity about the industry is at a certain level, I can almost tell that this is the course of, this is a slippery slope that they're approaching, and this is the course that they're going to take towards being full-blown sneakerhead. Basis their current few data points, like their current spend patterns, their current lifestyle, their level of curiosity, their enthusiasm for certain different things. You can tell when someone's about to get into it. I've seen it happen. That, today it's, how does this business work? Tomorrow it's, how much is this shoe selling for? Is this shoe available? I want to get it as a gift. What about, and then it's just every drop. And the next thing you know, they're waking up at 7:30 a.m. sitting on the Nike website with like 6 different monitors and like, I'm gonna get all and the next thing you know, they've started like a resale page called like Drip Connect or something. It's like everybody just, it's slippery slope.
This is all over the place, right? I know like a bunch of people who have these small pages where they're just trading these shoes.
It's amazing. Dude, it's empowerment. You understand? Sneakers are making like a large part of the youth of this country like financially literate. These kids would not have cared about, a lot of these people would not have cared about investment or would not have been making nearly as much money. Very often I look at sneakers as a financial instrument, and it's like a stock market where fundamental analysis is preloaded because the status value that it plays. As you buy Bata ka share, or you buy Nalco, or you buy L&T, great investments, sure. Long-term wealth building, compounding, everything amazing. But when you walk out on the street, it's not on your chest in a box logo. It's not on your feet. Like, sorry, you're not impressing any women with this. Not that sneakers impress a lot of women. Who am I kidding, right? No woman has been like, wow, he's a sneakerhead. It's quite the opposite. They're like, ugh, he's a sneakerhead. Like,
is it? What's the connotation attached to it?
I don't know. Like, for women, it's like comic books or whatever. So this kid's such a nerd type. Or like, he's not gonna, like, he's like, there's no conversation here. This kid is only gonna talk about his shoes. Might as well, like, eat dinner with a wall or some shit. But it changes. There are women who are into fashion. I mean, the thing is, that's what's cool about it. Your interaction is not 0 or 100. It's not a test. You could just be a little bit into just a part of your fashion, or it's your everything. In which case, it's even annoying for people like me. Okay, this is literally my life. I've bet everything I have on this. But if it's your everything, I don't want to hang out with you. I'm sorry. When I get home from work, it's not what I want to be doing.
Personally speaking, this is not your brand, not your business, but what are you going through as somebody who's running a business? How is the journey going?
It's definitely hard, dude. I was telling you before this. It's basically like it's like a war you're fighting. Every day is a new battle, and you have to numb yourself to it. You can't let it get to you. It happens at times. And personally, I'm at a stage where every decision I'm taking is just performance oriented. I'm not looking for any sort of work-life balance. I'm not looking for anything that I really personally want. I have to somehow integrate it into a performance metric, and this somehow help in the big picture, because I feel like I'm at a stage in my life where the next few years I can just, give it my everything. And I want to do just that. I don't want to look back and be like, shit, if I worked longer hours, if I'd done this or whatever. So that means that, okay, if clocking out of work at 8 p.m. means better annual performance because I'll be better rested, I would have slept better, then that's what I'll do. That's basically where I'm at personally, and that's what I'm going through right now. I'm at a transitionary stage where I'm learning to work harder, I'm learning to work smarter, I'm learning to evaluate, measure, learning to do the harder things that I normally couldn't do, learning to face a lot of things and be more like optimized for time. learning to take on more liability and bigger risks. It's fun. It's exciting. I'm living my dreams. Can't complain.
Interesting. What's the fuss about work-life balance? I don't get it. What's it for you?
Two people can't be on the same side of this argument. That's very dangerous. we will cause a lot of mass destruction. One of us has to advocate for it. Only then it's cool. if both of us advocate against work-life balance, then we are just toxic people. This is not a good scene at all. But yeah, like I said, for me, it's I'm very lucky to be able to put that in. I don't think everyone is. I'm very grateful for the privilege. And I want to use it well. And that's just what I'm doing.
I'm going to start a streetwear brand tomorrow. What are the core components that a person like me who knows probably nothing, of course I'll do my research, but before I do that, what are the core components of starting a streetwear brand in India?
Okay, core components is you want to build something that has a certain value to an end consumer in the eyes of a third person. People get very harped on story and material and quality. Are you going to be able to sell it? You're not starting a streetwear brand. You're starting a business. Unless you have infinite money, which is great, then do whatever you want. If you don't have infinite money, then please look at it as a business first. And modify your product and experiment with it till it reaches such a point where it's selling like a brand should. Please look at it as a business first. Learn how to run a business first. That is what's more important than anything. Your quality and all the very fun things to talk about. But the shittiest product in the world has been sold and built a fantastic business, and the greatest product in the world has not been sold and shut down as a business. So the most important thing for learning how to make clothing is not learning how to make clothing. It's learning how to manage your money and how to make money and how to sell your clothing. That's what's most important. Uske baad you do what you want. Whatever. If you're at the right place at the right time, you can make anything cool.
So what I'm consistently seeing is that it's not really about the quality of the product. Of course it is, but after a threshold point, probably not. It's about selling a story. That's what makes a collectible special.
The story, the quality, they're all tertiary. Not even say, I say they're tertiary entities. First and the most important is, can it sell? Okay, now will that person come back? Will that person wear the product? All of those are a result of the story, the result of the product quality, all of that. And the first thing, have you been able to sell it? How are you going to sell it? Why would people buy it? Are they buying it because of the quality? Then you sell the quality. Are they buying it because of how it looks to other people? What is the most sellable part? What is that something that's really going to make it sellable? It's key. Okay, of course, then it's important for it to be very authentic to you. When you want to build story and you want to sell a story, then okay, you build on a story. But all of that is still subset of first thing is, can it sell? Then you want to sell it like this, like that, you decide. But sell is not optional. Everything else is optional. Even if you want to make a garbage product, that you have an excellent sales strategy. You make sure everybody buys one. Super cheap product, you still have big margin. There's a million people in India should buy one each. Business is done. You just want to sell this much. Khatam. Then the next one, whatever. But that is the one thing that's non-negotiable in a business. Paise to kamane hain.
Very interesting. So in this business now, when you say can it sell, what decides? Like, is there one core thing that decides can it sell or not, or is it a combination of a couple of things? Yaar, ye to hona hi chahiye agar ye bikna hai to.
It's not objective, and that's the problem with it. That's what I'm trying to tell you, that it's not a quality or a story metric. Now that is core to you. That is a product of your experimentation, and what equilibrium will you find of product, story, and design. It's quality, story. What equilibrium will make it sell for you? Who are you talking to? Who are you making wear it? Who's wearing it because they want to? Who's seeing it in what light? How does it look like to who? Where are you positioning it? Where are you selling it? How available is it? How have you sent it out there? How, what's your website like? What is your Instagram like? What is your social like? It's very nuanced, dude. None of these things can be answered on a call. And anything that you can even answer is a very retrospective story. I can tell you that this person did this and it worked for them, but even if that person did all of those same things again, probably won't happen. all these retrospective things are very easy to look at. You can read a bunch of Twitter threads of how certain someone built and follow it step by step. Be the most dedicated kid in the world and follow it step. But it won't work. Each of these things is too subjective. You need to experiment for yourself. There are too many things that, you can't, I read this Naval, I don't know, I'm sure you're familiar with Naval Ravikant, all of our Lord and Guru, our savior, the man himself, Guruji. I was reading his thread today. You can watch Roger Federer swing his. Can you go swing like that after watching a game? So why is it that you can read a tweet thread and go and build a business same way? Please tell me. Fucking Roger can't go look at his own swing and recreate it and take the same decision and get there. He can't. They said Naval said the masters, the things that they are best at, they can't explain. It's very personal. You have to figure it out yourself.
Tell me some businesses that you follow. Right? Ravikant is one. He's now a philosopher, entrepreneur. But in India, tell me, do you look out for some entrepreneurs, some businesses?
Indian Naval Ravikant, Kunal Shah.
Chuck
I
Kunal.
don't want to say Indian Naval. I don't want to say Indian Naval, but it's
true though. It's true.
Nothing
man.
gets me excited. Nothing gets me excited like seeing Naval tweet and Kunal replied. Kunal tweeted, Naval replied Twitter. I'm like, it's so exciting. Like that's the most exciting shit. Who else do I follow from business side? I think Tanmay Bhatt is a phenomenal businessman. I've had the privilege of learning from him firsthand also, and absolutely brilliant businessman. I have some mentors in my life that are really valuable to me that I was, again, very lucky to spend time with. And, they're businessmen who are not very out there on social and things like that, but I've just had the good fortune of spending time with them closely and having them bet on me. And, those are things that, like, those conversations are everything. Because I get first-hand, real-time, reflective advice, which is huge. I've also, luckily had the privilege of having coffee with Kunal and having him also interact with us on several occasions, and I'm so grateful to it. It's amazing.
Do you jam with your father when it comes to businesses?
Of course, and that goes without saying, right? My dad is everything. Everything because of him and my mom. My dad and I, as far my whole journey with business started when I was 10 years old, and I asked my dad for an iPod because it just looked so cool, right? And he was like, who made the iPod? I was like, of course not, Dad, I'm 10. What kind of question is that? And he goes, there's this dude named Steve Jobs who started Apple, and then he got kicked out of Apple, and he started Pixar. And then he came back to Apple, and I just made this bloody iPod. And I was like, in my head at that time, I was like, so iPod, and Toy Story. This man is single-handedly responsible for both of these things. And my mind was just blown at the level of day-to-day impact that this one dude has had. And again, in retrospect, I realized that is what really got me out of bed every day. It's this is what I want to do. For the longest time, it was I want to be CEO of Apple. Yehi karna hai. I think when I was 15 or something, I made a bet with a classmate of mine. I was 10 years, I'll be CEO of Apple, otherwise I'll give you $1,000. In my head, it was either you'll be this thing or $1,000 to bach jayenge. 10 saal ka bet. 10 years, I was hedging my risk. I was like, 1,000 to bach jayenge. It's but chalo, it's okay. And yeah, sure enough, I don't see myself becoming CEO of Apple or even accepting that as a role if it's given. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I would. I don't know.
Do you remember that moment when he released MacBook Air? He brought it in an envelope, like an office.
Bruv, you don't understand who you're talking to. In my free time, my lunch, I watch old Apple keynotes. Okay.
What's your favorite one?
Bro, of course it's the iPhone, man. That's come on. First iPhone is a whole different, that is dude, worldwide, life-changing, it's a phenomena of energy. And the way he presents it, it's everything, dude. He's a star performer. Me being an entrepreneur is part of my passion for being a performing artist. I'm not just, as much as I'd hate to admit it, I care about that. I love the idea of that attention and that stardom and that fame and all of that. And I'm open about it now. It's not easy for a businessman to admit. It's very common for them to be I don't. But it's true, and it's a part of running a business. investors don't bet on, at least early stage, just business. They bet on promoter group. They're literally putting a monetary value to you as a person and your performance here. You're judged on you're a performing artist. And Steve is, is the greatest of them all. Like I was telling of Neeraj Chopra came to the store yesterday. And I was flipping. I was fully flipping. Thing is that, we've had a lot of very interesting celebrities come to the store. Very lucky like that. We have big shots from Ranveer, Singh, Ranbir, Kapoor, all shop with us. And, it's great. And I've never really flipped like this, as much as it's a big deal to us. And this employee of mine was like, bruv, you don't even know about this guy a month ago. Like, calm down. I wasn't in Bombay, I'm in Delhi. So I couldn't even be there. And it's very upsetting for me. And my immediate reaction was, bruv, like, I didn't know about him. But what this dude has done from an impact standpoint is, I would love to be there. And I was trying to tell him that, he's literally like I was trying to tell him that, big shot CEOs that I otherwise would flip about are the business parallel to Olympic gold medalists. And they're the same thing. An organization is a pro sports team. Each individual is a performer. CEO is usually the star of the show. You're a performing artist. You're an athlete. You're all of that. Especially now with the internet and media coverage and all that, it's become more a performing art now than ever.
Vlogging, really want to talk about it. How do you start? What was that daily vlog all about, man? I watched a couple of them. Fun.
I'm sorry.
I came across Boosted. I think you imported Boosted, and Boosted was all the rage, right? Because Casey
Neistat was all the rage for me also, dude, as a kid. I started watching Casey Neistat for a while at a time when I had a lot of ambition but no work ethic. And I didn't have anything going for myself. Okay, I had a lot of ideas and ambition. And I used to watch this guy in utter fear that, Jesus Christ, this dude like films his whole day. And then he makes a 10-minute film out of it every day.
Every day.
What the fuck is this guy smoking? Like that's crazy. And the worst part about this was I was not looking at it in as much admiration as much as it was fear that I would never be able to. And I'm still a very fear-driven person. That's something that I battle with myself every day, is the amount of fear that I deal with. And one day I had this idea. I talked myself into it. I said, what if, you start telling the internet about your goals for the day. Eventually, you're a pretty conscious person. Eventually, you'll be too embarrassed to screw it up. So I tricked myself saying, chalo, phone per record kar lena and just make a 3 to 5 minute video. Bas. That's all. Start. Just do it. And it'll keep you accountable. Eventually, you'll get to your goals of starting a business or whatever. Sure enough, I was like, no time to think. Aaj idea hai, kal shuru karna hai. Wake up early tomorrow, let's start. And I woke up next morning and I did it. I said, chalo, if I do it for 7 days straight, I'll tell people and I'll make it a thing. 7 days I uploaded chup chap. Didn't say a word to anyone. The 8th day I told people and I kept going and it just kept, and I was properly ripped. I wasn't, it was very common for people to say, oh, Casey Neistat rip off. Yeah, whatever. It was more of me like utilizing a filmmaking style that I was inspired of to tell my story is what it was. And it was a thrill. And I went on for 700 days. I don't think anyone in India has done 700 days of daily vlogging. I went from 0 to 700 days with no audience. When I look back, that's what's insane to it. That there were times when, first of all, I had a 2009 iMac. This was 2018 or 17, I think. It was 8 years old, this computer. Which meant that it took 3 hours to render a video on Final Cut. Which meant that I had to finish editing before I slept. So there are times when I'm like dying to sleep at like 3 a.m. and editing a video. And I just think to myself that, Jesus Christ, nobody cares. No one cares about this video. No one cares about this vlog. and I'm still here, like, fighting and battling to do this. And that was the hardest part, and I still had to do it. And then I'd have to wake up, put it for upload, or if I woke up and it failed render, I'd have to take my hard disk and go to a friend's house who didn't know shit about video editing but had a basic MacBook Air, and a basic MacBook Air rendered that same video in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. So I'm just like, oh, this is hard. Very hard time of my life. But I started that 700-day journey with nothing, and I ended that 700-day journey with running 3 businesses. And yeah, it was interesting. It changed everything. It gave me everything. Like, I look at vlogging as my college, my school, my everything. It was phenomenal.
Extremely inspiring, dude. Like, अच्छा लगा सुन के. That's the only thing I can say. बहुत अच्छा लगा सुन के that something like this happened. And just for the audience, right? So I follow Ravikant a lot, and he says, and I'm big believer of public accountability. Whenever I feel like अच्छा भाई ये करना life में, I make sure after I'm certain about, not certain, you're never certain, but like I'm certain enough that okay, I want to try this. I tell people around me, and I think that's what you are trying to do. And when you do that, it feels embarrassing when you don't do it. So people around you remind you कि भाई कर ले, do it. You better do it.
Yeah.
We're almost at the end of the episode. We do this very small segment which is called the rapid fire segment. It's me trying to become Karan Johar and just trying to fulfill my Bollywood fantasies. बहुत simple सा section है. It's rapid fire. Quick questions, quick answers, no time thinking. Are you ready?
Of course, born ready.
One startup that inspires you in India.
Cred.
One that irritates you.
Nothing can irritate me, man.
Okay, one that you don't believe in.
You can't, dude. This startup is not in the moment question. It's always okay. There's a company that makes like digital business cards, and I'll be like,
Scube, is it?
I think so. And I might in the moment when someone tells me about it, I'll be a little bit dismissive of it because I feel like business cards are a dying concept. Like scheduled television broadcast, why does it exist? Because Tata Sky wants it to exist, and they have that much distribution. So I look at someone who's digitizing business cards and be like, bruv, WhatsApp has a share contact feature. Kya kar rahe ho? So it doesn't irritate me. Might not believe it in the moment, but it's not what it is. I might not believe in that concept, but as a startup, it can very well fail and pivot and build into something else. And that's the beauty of it, which is why I'll never say I don't believe in something or I believe in something. It's because you never know what will happen.
Okay, one thing about entrepreneurship that you're not really fond of.
Time consumption. Uncertainty. Actually, no, that's fun. Uncertainty is fun.
Guilty pleasure.
Junk food and like old TV shows that I've watched.
Tell me this one TV show which you like watching.
I am currently rewatching Doctor House.
Doctor House. I've never seen this. I'll try. Books, movies, whichever you consume more. 3 favorite books or movies.
Currently reading a book called How I Almost Blew It by Siddharth Rao. It's wonderful. Very comforting to a businessman because you read about massive businesses and even they almost failed at a time. And it's like, oh, you also. It's like, Jesus, if that's, if they survived that, then I can probably make it. So, I absolutely love the book. Other than that, what's another couple of books I've read? 0 to 1, Peter Thiel. Mashallah, beautiful book. And my dad's book, dude, Romancing the Balance Sheet.
Really popular, of course.
Yeah, it's that I read it very late, and I was like, Jesus, like I should have read it a long time ago. And I've heard that from everyone who's read it. So yeah, plug the man, Dr. Lamba himself.
Really cool, man. One life mantra, one thing that you'd repeat yourself every single day.
Like I have a lot of smaller like business mantras. Like the decision making philosophy is what I look at it as. For example, when you end up having to disagree with someone, like, okay, I don't have to make everyone happy. You don't have to make everyone happy. You shouldn't be afraid to say no. I think that's something that I've struggled with. I struggle to say no. So, can you do this? Yes. No, but you have to learn to say no is power. No is power. Learn to say no.
Fun time talking to you. I feel that now I'm a little more interested because of this episode into the entire culture. Hopefully I'll be that one customer who comes to the shop with a blank mind and then leaves with probably a couple of bags at least.
Slippery slope. Be careful.
Thank you so much, dude. Thank you so much for coming on the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for the time. Really fun time talking to you.
Thank you for having me. It was a good time. I'll catch you soon.